Gamers, gals, and my non-binary pals, enough about me whining about factory-produced content. It's time for me to start my own sweatshop of reaction child slave laborers in the mines. Anyways, we've got MBT with the greatest Yu-Gi-Oh decks of all time. All I'm gonna say is if Adamantipator doesn't end up on this list, we're gonna have some serious hands. But let's give it a watch.
Hey everybody, Joseph Rothschild here, aka
Cornucopia.
And it is time for us to finally hash out one of the most important questions in Yu-Gi-Oh's history. Which of Yu-Gi-Oh's most powerful decks are good, and which are fraudulent? Today I'm trying to have a very important discussion, and that discussion is, who is the GOAT? What is the greatest Yu-Gi-Oh deck of all time? Of course, we will need to necessarily remove the #1 contender from the equation. Unless we refuse to consider tier limit to Shizu, they will wipe everything. Every no ban list tournament is destroyed by these fuckers. They can stand up to anything any format throws at them because not only do they have extremely powerful setup combos, they also have hand traps to counter the very few things that beat them. And at full power, there's almost nothing that can stand up to these cards.
It is crazy how, like, the tier limit of Shizu stuff represents almost everything wrong with Yu-Gi-Oh! In the sense where tier limit is Shizu is able to abuse dumbass rulings, they're able to abuse like one card combos, they're able to abuse unintentional interactions, like things with like instant fusion, summon like Kikolos, or do the Rhino Heart thing where you don't actually have to have like a card in hand in order to like summon it out type shit. Like tier limit truly is just the stupidest thing of all time.
Tier limit aside, who's the top dog?
Adamantipator.
Let's see what you all came up with. Farfa says, okay, hear me out. Other than the obvious first place, I think anti-meta full power Zoo with like 30 hand traps would cook. We ran a trad format tournament years ago pre-tier limit and this won. It's insane how hard Shifter or Droll carry against everything. I think this is probably the right response. Zoodiac is such a small inclusion in these lists and can win off so few cards that just making a Trident and the basic Zoodiac setup combo and then stuffing the rest of the deck packed to the gills full of cards that just end the turn, like Nibiru and Droll and the Charmies and Shifter, would probably wipe the floor with all of the FTKs that would be populating a non-ban list format. Of course,
it is crazy how the entire Zoo engine is like 7 cards in the main deck. Like you've got like Thoroughblade, Bunny Blast, like maybe a couple Whiptails, like one Ram, plus like some very minor like engine pieces like the Zoodiac Barrage. And then the rest of it could just be like Ash, Imperm, Shifter, Troll, Nibiru, Fuolos, Perulia, fucking Effect Veiler, Ghost Mourner, I don't know, fucking no material, fuck it. Oh my god, Rat Peter? Yeah, oh my god, Rat Peter at full power? Holy shit. That is just like, you don't need to win. You just have the Rat Peter combo plus like draw 12 or like 7 cards using like the Rin combo. Holy shit. That is like, that is beauty beyond recognizable.
Tier limit could just Herald of Orange Light the Shifter, but aside from tier limit. Dyer says probably Pendslop. If Pendulum wasn't a dangerous threat at full power, why else would Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG make the decision to keep Electromite banned? Okay, never mind. I thought she was being real, but it's just another whining post about this card. CJ says, if we are to presume the deck should be rated by the time of their release and not overall power, then this is mathematically the strongest deck of all time, and maybe the only actually solved.
What is this? Beast Fangs.
Well, I'm not presuming that. Look, it's right here. Current card pool, everything legal. Why would you presume that? I've given you one piece of information and you ignored it. Did you want me to say Zoo? Yes. Everything is legal, reaches over to the table and fucking gets you.
What is this threat?
I wish says
what is
Pendulum
this
FTK.
video?
Surely Lyralisk Independent Nightingale isn't a lower than level 6 fusion, which means of course you can summon it off of Magical Scientist. And surely there isn't a Dark Pendulum fusion lower than level 6, like Patistiel Couverture. And surely there isn't a good thing you can make with Dark Fusion Pendulums. Wow, I really appreciate that even in the year of our Lord 2024, Magical Scientist is an FTK. I mean, even more efficiently than it was in the past.
We've done it. We broke Magical Scientist. But this reminds me of like that one tournament that like 5th rate duelist held. Shut the fuck up past me. Don't stop talking. But when you look at like the band list, where it's just like, yeah, Scientist is here, like Nibiru is banned, Maxi's at just like a bunch of shit like that. Like it was so readily apparent on how broken this format was gonna be right off of the rip. A shadow of your former self. look at that hollow husk. He didn't even have fucking gains back then. What a pussy. But Magical Scientist just being the core of like every single dumbass combo. The fact that like we played like the Galaxy Wing card plus like invoked Cocytus to like act as a rank 6 just to make like Hieratic Atum to essentially FTK your opponent with like the Metal Marcher bullshit. You would essentially just like FTK your opponent and make like Seals plus Herald plus like a DMZ Dragon with Buster Whelp attached. This shit was so stupid. None of these cards should ever have been legal. Remember when LP was legal? I miss that shit. I miss LP. I miss Halka Fibrax. I miss when you would play Boral Sword on, ironically.
Now you don't even need the Catapult Turtle. Everything legal, Exodia FTK for sure, no? Literally 100% consistent and unrespondable unless they have what? Droll?
Yeah, or Imperm.
Well,
or
I gotta tell you, Farfa's idea
anything.
is sounding better and better. And more importantly, this does nothing against tier element either, because if they go Havnus Milligito and they send a couple of pieces, you just die. Also, there's this fucked up thing in Yu-Gi-Oh! That I keep running into. Let me know if anyone else has had this experience. Apparently in half of your games, you have to go second? Just open it. Oh, okay. Trevor says, I want to say
Just
Pepe.
open it.
If it gets the master rule that didn't annihilate the penned mechanic, specifically the OCG's list. Yeah, this is close. 2 Shockmasters does kind of win the game on its own. The
Oh my
problem
god.
is...
Why does Shockmaster have a face? Well, I thought the weird bug eyes was the face. Why does Shockmaster have a face? Mankind was not meant to know this knowledge. Also, what the fuck? Shockmaster broken.
There are hand traps. And also, 2 Shockmasters doesn't always win the game. I can see the argument for this deck. Insane space for non-engine, a ridiculous amount of 1-card starters, and an insanely high ceiling with Beatrice plus Fiendsmith. I think this is a pretty good answer, I'm going to be honest.
Okay.
I think it is comparable to Zoodiac, insofar as it is a deck in which you would play like a ton of non-engine. The only difference between this and Zoodiac is it wouldn't play Shifter. I don't know if that's the difference between it being the second best deck and not, but when the big baddie on the block is tier, I do have to think it might matter.
It's very interesting how like the Fiendsmith Snake Eye stuff is so broken. There is just this is just such a nothing statement I'm yapping about right now, but the Fiendsmith Snake Eye pile with like the Azamina stuff, it is just so ridiculous in what that deck can achieve. It's like the complete opposite of the Zoodiac thing, where instead of playing like 5 million non-engine, you just play 5 million like tiny, concise engines kind of mashed up into one. Like the Fiendsmith engine, then the Snake Eye engine, then the Diabellstar engine, then the Azamina engine, plus like maybe the Kashtira engine. And then you just play like 50 to 60 cards of just like, here's like 18 hand traps, fuck it bro, who gives a shit. It's so fucking silly.
Truth Nuke. Truth Apocalypse. Truth 3 Mile Island Incident. Truth Chernobyl.
What the
only
fuck?
downside is if it has to play
What is
against
this
Runic
video?
For hire. Whatever deck my opponent is playing at any given time. True! Yeah, Dragon Link is up there for sure. It is kind of crazy because we never got
Oh
to
my
see
God, Fire
Dragon
King
Link
engine.
with everything
Also
legal
Impulse.
at once.
Fuck Impulse.
Like, what would they be doing now that they have the tools that they do with the new Red Eyes stuff and Agrippin? Who knows? Eclipse Wyvern did nothing wrong. I will say Eclipse Wyvern, I think, is the #1 card on the list that can never come off under any circumstances. That's crazy, right? Because it seems like there's a lot more powerful stuff on there. But no, Eclipse Wyvern is the most frustrating thing that exists there. Tier 0 format. I think you mean Tier Stina 0 format.
Real. Thank you, peeps. Unblock me on Twitter.
Okay. Gonna put in some boring ones. Kashtira and Floo have the teeth to fight for second place since they are the epitome of anti-meta. Floo, combination of Shifter Statue, and Kashtira, a deck built to counter Tearlament. Also both more consistent and play through Scythe and D-Barrier. I I could see these. The thing that stops me from saying Floo is that it is pretty weak to single target negation, and it has a droll problem. And Cash is just not a...
Like, Kashtira was such a weird deck. Like, people, and especially me, because I'm a fucking certified yapaholic, my bad, love to say, like,
oh wow, like certain decks and formats are too variance based, and you could just like show your hand to your opponent, and like if it was good enough, you would just lose the game type shit.
Kashtira was like one of those formats where it was actually that bad. Like, completely verbatim, if not worse. Cash just lost to so much random shit. Like, it would lose to, like, Karikara, and it would lose to Book of Eclipse, until people started playing, like, a Pointer of the Red Lotus and doing the stupid-ass, like, Kashtira combo to, like, equip your opponent's card to the Arise art. That shit was, like, so stupid. And the fact that so many pro players were, like, either quitting or just not playing that format, and the ones that were seeing the most inconsistent top results because Kashtira was so inconsistent and what it could play through and what it could not. It was ridiculous. Playing Silent Force, except instead of summoning one Omni Negate and maybe a Shuffle, you would summon, like, you would basically kill your opponent and their whole family.
Not a good deck. Like, it has to be Gumblar Goki with extra hand rip spells, right? Okay. I am going to tell you all a hypothetical. I want you to consider it. Okay. I go Topologic Gumblar Dragon, right? Your opponent grins. They send Havness Merly.
Real.
In fact, I will go even further. I have long said this. It shouldn't, because it would be bad for the game. But you could take Delinquent Duo off the ban list. Please don't. I mean, yeah. This is a cool concept.
That is, remember when everyone during, like, tier format would say, like,
Guys, trust me, Mathmech is a good deck.
and you would, like, play tier and get matched up into Mathmech, you, like, lose the dice roll, and you look at your hand of, like, Shiren, Malicious, or whatever, and your opponent would do, like, the Alan Bershin super gritty combo. They would do, like, the super factorial special, and they would, like, remove your Scream or, like, Field Spell, but they wouldn't pop your monster, but they would rip a card out of your hand, and then they hit, like, a Guido or something and, like, lose instantly. It was horrible. Like, how did anyone cope on Mathmech? Like, yeah, Circular was fucking, like, the fucking bane of existence of, like, Circular was the actual first one card combo that might have been a little too unhealthy.
Going back to Exodia, but what if Sangan and Witch worked the way they did during the OCG Last Will Tier 0 Exodia format, where if you activate Last Will and then pop a Sangan, you can summon
that
a
sound
Sangan,
effect was so
then
fucking
pop a
loud.
Sangan and summon another Sangan. You can use it infinite times. You can only gain the effect once per turn and only summon one per pop. That would probably be a contender. But it feels like it loses not only to a Shizu tier, but also to the decks that are trying to beat a Shizu tier and hit you with, like, a Droll and a Shifter. I'm honestly not sure what archetype, but I know it's whichever deck can abuse these two the most.
Yep.
You're going to hate the answer to this one, but it's
a
the one that
Shizu
I posted.
tier.
Oh! I didn't even think of this!
Wait, is that a thing? Hold up. Wait, can you roll back self-destruct button? You still have to meet the activation condition, don't you? Like, oh my god. Hold up. We might be cooking.
Oh, you can make this off Beatrice. Wow.
I know that rollback bypasses cost. It's because self-destruct button doesn't have a cost. It's just both players' life points become 0, but the activation condition for rollback is for both players' life points to be whatever. Yeah, it's like how you can't roll back Featherstorm unless you have a winged beast, because you can't legally activate at the time. It copies the effect of a trap card that could legally be activated at that time. It's very weird and shitty. And Konami just kind of shrugs their shoulders and says, like, I don't fucking know. Who knows how this card's supposed to work? But it's very just like, it's dumb, it's stupid. I fucking hate it.
I hate to be like this. Wind Up, despite the fact that it can do anything and everything under the sun, isn't good now in Master Duel. They're saying to give Hunter back so they can then hand loop. That's not the difference. That said, I love Wind Up, so the answer is yes. Oh! Yeah,
GOAT status.
Unfortunately, I think Mystic Mine would be very popular. Actually,
GOAT
pretty
status.
surprised I had to scroll down this far to see Adam Emancipator. That deck's crazy. You know?
Stop. Don't do the pack thing.
This is a hot take, but I buy this one. It's crazy because Centurion has never been the best deck in its format, and frequently isn't even tiered. But it is without question the deck that plays around the most hand traps. And if you give it unlimited format, it does have Hot Red Dragon Archfiend King Calamity. I could see it. I've done a complete 180 on this deck, by the way. Like 2 months ago, I was like, this deck is so annoying, I hate it. And now I do respect it. It's like the deck you play if you don't want to play the 4 or 5 annoying-ass meta decks.
Play Lab!
I wish you were right, Matthew McConville. I wish you were right. But unfortunately, Nekroz is just ass. It's maybe the worst aged Tier 0 deck of all time. I struggle to think of a deck that has aged worse and was Tier 0. Dad? I think legitimately there is an argument Dad Return is like more relevant than this deck.
Oh my god.
Like there's some stupid stuff you can do with Return from the Different Dimension. This is like... It really does not do
skill drain.
Dad is super bricky. Not if you play the way the pros did in 2006. Allegedly. Yeah, this could do it. Yeah, I think my
Destiny
precious
Draw
queen could do it.
special.
Come on, Joseph. You know what the best deck is in your heart of hearts. Do you know how hard it is to have that regional top under my belt? And it's with Snake Eye in a format where Hero is topping regional events. I've lost my way, man. I've lost my way.
You're not one of us.
I want to say no about Sky Striker, but if you get Ryan Yu piloting it, I think it could happen. He'll cook up something. These types of discussions can be...
What the? Is there no Adamancipator? Not a single Adamancipator mention. Did everyone just forget what COVID format was? It was, but it was short right before Centurion. Whoever edited this video, you are... Oh my god, Vlad edited this. Vlad still edits? That's fucking news to me.
Very contentious. It looks like a bunch of people can't decide if an FTK featuring Exodia or Magical Scientist, or a deck like Zoodiac loaded up on hand traps, is the other competitor for greatest of all time when compared to a Shizu tier. But we can all agree on one thing. Nekroz is the most fraudulent Tier 0 deck in the history of time.
So
See you
real.
next.
Oh my god, we didn't get Adamancipator. We didn't get, like, Striker Orcus. Well, Striker Orcus arguably wasn't even that good in the sense where, you know, technically it had a lot of stuff that could beat it that we now have access to relative to, like, in the past, but no Adamancipator mention. This list is fraudulent. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. Let me know why you think Adamancipator Researcher is the greatest Tier 0 card / deck of all time. And remember, kids, normal summon Koakamiru Guardian, special summon Researcher, full combo, baby. Oh, I miss that deck so much.